Oh, are we on the air?
Hey gang, it's Bryan from FXBilliards. Today I'm going to show you guys 5 drills that I enjoy doing that may be on the advanced side for a lot of you guys, but the whole idea here is you can adapt these to make them beginner drills or super advanced, however you want to do it. The first one that you see on the screen looks like my acid test drill. Those of you familiar with the channel know that I have a drill that I call the acid test. This is actually the acid test on acid. What you're doing is you're playing draw shots, playing balls in either of the corner pockets at the other end, but you have to play position on each shot as you shoot it. So as I shoot this 4 ball, I'm getting position on the 5 ball, and then when I shoot the 5 ball, I'll be getting position on the 8 ball. This is by no means easy, and you advanced players will have fun with this. You beginner players, forget about it. You're going to have to find a way to make this a bit easier for you. And your intermediate players, it will give you something to strive for. So we're going to look at it one more time. Each ball is lined up across the halfway point on the table. Now this is an 8-foot table, so if you are on a 9-foot table, make an adjustment. You can move the balls closer to you or move the cue ball closer. So I have the cue ball behind the head string with ball in hand on the first shot, and then each shot after that you get position by any means necessary, whether it means coming off the side rail, coming off the short rail, however you need to do it, you're going to get position and then play each ball in the corner pocket at the other end. What this does is it works your ability to shoot the draw shot. It works your ability to shoot the long shot down table. It works your ability to make decisions as far as which balls you're going to shoot in what order. It works your ability to get position on those balls. And as you can see on this last shot, it works your ability to be a shot maker. Here I have to make a back cut to get through the drill. No problem. Now, the next one that we're going to look at is going to be a little bit easier. You guys will recognize this as well. If you're familiar with the channel, you know that I call this the semicircle. People give me credit for this drill, but I actually got it out of a Willie Mosconi book years ago, and I'm sure that a bunch of people have been doing it since. The interesting thing about this drill is beginners think that I'm putting a little bit of English on the ball to get each of these positions, but I'm not. It is the angle that you have on the ball. And as the cue ball moves around the semicircle, you will either be in position or a little off position. So how much you draw the ball is going to determine your ability to get on the next shot. So work that semicircle. When you can get around 5 and you can do it at will like that, you're going to be pretty good at any of your short position shots where you have to shoot these soft draw shots. There are guys that can draw the ball the length of the table that can't draw the ball 12 inches to get position on an easy shot going around in a circle like that. Speaking of the acid test, this is the acid test drill. All you're doing is you're shooting balls in the corner pocket again, but this time you have ball in hand. So this is a bit easier than the first drill. The reason it's easier is because you have ball in hand. One thing that does make it more difficult for some people is you have to draw the cue ball back to the short rail. So once you get it back to the short rail, take ball in hand and shoot it to the other end of the table. Now the reason I call this the acid test is because it's very difficult to make this shot if you do anything wrong. If your stroke is a little off, if you're putting unnecessary English on the ball, it's very difficult to make the shot. You're either going to miss the shot or you're not going to get the draw to come into effect. So the acid test, I've been doing these since I was a kid, and it's a drill that I really like. The acid test on acid, the first one, like I said, advanced players are going to be able to pull it off. You intermediate players should give it a try. You beginner players, you may want to work on the acid test by moving the cue ball a lot closer, give yourself ball in hand, and then knock it out. Another thing you want to do when you have the acid test down is start moving the balls out further and further away from that 50-yard line. The problem is when you start moving the balls further away from the center of the table, it becomes more difficult to put the balls in a string across because you just simply don't have an angle where you can take ball in hand and shoot these in. But you should always be testing your limits. So I'm shooting behind the head string, and this ball is 2 diamonds from the corner pocket. So it gives you a sense of just how far you can draw the ball, because I have students who can draw the ball a lot further than they realize. They just simply haven't given it a shot. So keep that in mind, and let's look at the next drill. Here's another one that you hardcore FXBilliards viewers have seen before. This drill practices your ability to get position and make rail shots. So you have each ball occupying 1 diamond along the long side of the table. You have ball in hand on the first shot, and then after that, you have to make each ball, whether you want to go to the left side or the right side is up to you, but you have to make each ball and get position on the next shot. Now, if you miss a shot, just go back, put the ball back on the spot where it was, and finish out the rack. Now, the great thing about this drill is, first off, you get to practice your position play. You have to get position on these next balls. And I know it looks easy, I'm just bringing it to a spot somewhere near the center of the table. But as you go through each of these balls, you start running out of options. You get to a point where it's impossible to make a ball that's on the left-hand side. If you look at that ball at the far end of the table, it can't even be made from here. So I am forced to go to the right-hand side now, and will have to get position on the 4 ball by getting the cue ball to the opposite side of the table. When you are doing this well, you'll find that you're going to be putting inside English on some of these shots, outside English on some of them. You even get to a point where you're going to need draw in order to get through the drill. But I really like this because these rail shots are a headache for a lot of people, and this is a fun way to practice those rail shots. And like the best drills, this gets more and more difficult as you go along. You run out of options. You either have the left side or the right side when you first start out, and then you get to the point where there are no options left and you absolutely have to get position on a specific ball. So after making this 3 ball, I can only go to the left-hand side, and then I have to get position on the 7 ball, which is on our right-hand side, because it's the only ball on that side of the table. So this drill gets more and more difficult, and it really works on your ability to make these shots. So shooting straight, hitting that sweet spot where you're at the ball and the cushion, getting your speed down, playing position, all of those things come into play with this drill. It is a great drill, and I've been doing it for years. Even though I missed that shot, I'm going to put it right back. I've been doing it for years. I first saw it in a video actually on YouTube before most of you guys even knew YouTube had videos on pool. It was a guy named Force Follow, and he was the only YouTuber that I paid attention to back then, and he did this drill. I really thought it was cool, and I kind of picked it up from there. Every drill that you see me do has probably come from somewhere. The acid test I kind of call my own, but I'm sure people have been doing similar drills for a long time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these balls back up, but I'm going to make the drill a little bit more difficult. If you noticed, with the first drill, not only did I have to make each of the balls and get position for each of the balls, but I had to avoid all of the other balls that were on the table. Now, that makes the drill that much more difficult. But here, I'm going to go even further. I'm going to avoid each of the balls that are on the table, but only shoot them from one side of the table. Now, what this means is you have to get position on that wide side. So here I have to cross the halfway point. If you look at the table vertically, I have to cross the halfway point to even be able to make what looks like the 14 ball from here. And Also, at the same time, avoid all of the balls that are on the opposite side of the table. So again, for you intermediate players, it's something to strive for. For you beginner players, give it a shot. You're going to get a couple of these balls in. Going through the entire rack is not going to be something that most players are going to be able to pull off, but it is a lot of fun and it definitely works your ability to shoot these shots. The next thing we're going to look at as we wrap up this particular drill is playing against the ghost. Now, some of you guys don't think of it as a drill, but it absolutely is the absolute best drill, whether you're a 9-ball player or a 10-ball player. It might not work your skills as a straight pool player or a bank pool player as much, but as far as most of the games, not just the rotation games, but games such as 8-ball, it is one of the best ways to work your skills. So unless you are brand new to the channel, you've watched me run a ton of racks of 8-ball and 9-ball. And once again, even if you're an 8-ball player, break and run racks of 9-ball in rotation. It will make you a much better 8-ball player. Guys that watch the channel and ladies that watch the channel, you know that I've said that 1,000 times. When I'm working with people, giving them lessons, whether it's in person or over Zoom, we run racks in rotation because it is just the best way to sharpen your game. You can't get through a rack of 9-ball and not improve your game. So here, I'm just going to call out each shot. I'm going to shoot that 2-ball with draw. Look like a little bit of low left to get on this 3-ball down at the other end of the table. These are shots that don't come up as often in 8-ball because you have too many options, so you never get to practice shots like that. So here I shot that one with looks like low, maybe a little bit of left on that to get on this 4-ball. Stun shot on the 4-ball to get on the 5. And I'm thinking I'm just going to tap this in with some follow, come off the rail, and get on the 6. So here's another example of where you need to get from one end of the table to the other, which comes up in 9-ball racks a lot more than it does in 8-ball racks. With 8-ball racks, you probably have a ball sitting in front of the side pocket that you can use to transition yourself down table. But with a 9-ball rack, you usually have to find a way to get there yourself more efficiently. The next drill I'm going to show you guys is crazy fun. For you beginners, it's going to be crazy frustrating, but it is something to mess around with. Darren from Mr. Edit 1 put out a challenge video where what you had to do was make 6 balls in 6 different pockets using multi-rail kick shots. This means 2 or more rails. I kind of started doing this and said this would be a great kick shot drill. So I kind of made it part of my practice routine, and here it is. Let's start with the 14 on the side. Okay. Now, you beginners don't want to hear this, but I am actually playing position on these shots. Because there's some shots that can't be made from some places. And as you run through the balls, you need to get through those shots while you can. Because sometimes the spot that you are going to want to hit just doesn't exist. It may be occupied by another ball. So 2 things I'm doing here is, 1, trying to be a half a ball off on my shot so that I don't scratch, and 2, get position on the next shot. So like here, I want to make this ball, but I want to stay near the pocket so that I can play that 10 ball. This is really a good opportunity to make that 11, I think. I'm going to do a little quick parallel shift. Let's play the 11.
Yeah, baby. And now one more ball. This is what I was talking about. The spot I want to hit is right there. So I didn't get the best position to have to play this shot. So I'm going to just try to cheat it a little bit with speed, and we will be still in it. And I'm not shooting that damn thing again because I just don't have that kind of time.